The rules in the UFC are in place to make sure its fighters are safe and that no one gets seriously injured. Yes, fouls happen all the time, and they aren't always the culprits of serious injuries, but these rules are here to make everyone feel safe. However, sometimes fighters break these rules and just don't really care at all. So today we're going to discuss fighters who broke the rules and didn't care. First up is Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is obviously one of the biggest, if not the biggest, UFC fighter of all time. Throughout his long career, he's been in many fights, and over time, some fouls have been in play. Conor isn't known for playing by the rules all the time, and he uses this to his advantage all the time. Throughout his many fights, Conor has thrown in a few fouls to push his opponents over the edge, but never enough to rule out the fight downright. The biggest offender was during his fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov. During this match, we obviously saw Conor lose pretty badly as well. However, throughout the match, during his defense with Khabib, Conor started to break the rules. He was being pinned down by Khabib, and he started to not play by the rules any longer. Conor started to dig his hands into his gloves, grab the cage with his feet, and even grab his shorts. There were many other fouls coming from McGregor during that match, but in the end, it didn't save him from the massacre that Khabib gave him that night. Conor then went into the post-fight press conference and clearly didn't care about his actions. He famously stood up during the conference and shouting, "I just don't give an F." Conor is a cocky guy, and he clearly just didn't want to admit to caring about his actions. In his mind, it was all fine because nothing serious happened to either of them. What do you think about Conor's actions during that match? Let us know down in the comments section below. And next up, we have Heath Herring. When it comes to a UFC match, knocking out your opponent during the octagon bout is one of the best ways to secure a victory. This happens all the time, as it is one of the main strategies for many fighters in the UFC. Knocking an opponent out before the fight, however, isn't something that happens all the time. However, during this match in 2005, that is exactly what happened. Heath Herring was set to fight Yoshihiro Nakao, but during the pre-fight stare-down, Nakao kissed the Texas Crazy Horse on the lips, causing Herring to freak out and knock him unconscious before the bout even started. What was he thinking? Clearly it lost him the match, but he got a really funny moment out of it. People still remember this today as one of the craziest moments in UFC and in all of MMA history. This was also a moment that broke the rules because Herring was disqualified for punching his opponent before the match even started. For a while there as well, his opponent actually took the victory and was declared the first winner before a match had even started. Obviously, later on the match was declared a no contest because, of course, kissing isn't in the rules of the UFC. What a crazy match. So funny, but also a moment that displays the rules of the UFC. In the end, Heath also didn't care at all. He knew he was in the right for what his opponent did. He kept on stating that he tried to kiss me like a homosexual. I'm not gay. He just felt like that shouldn't have happened, and everyone agreed with him. No matter how funny the situation was back then, it's not something to keep in the history books, is it? And now we have Rousimar Paulairs. Paulairs is one of the biggest UFC fighters in history, mainly because of his cheating reputation. Throughout his career, and before he was banned of course, he was known for cheating in many different ways. The main way he would do so would be ignoring the ref during submissions, and would just keep going even if the ref was pulling him off of his opponent. Another thing was pushing into people's eyes over and over again. He was known for all of this even before his final match. During a title match in 2015, he showcased the cheating once again. Instead of listening to his referee, he carried on cheating, even with his opponent tapping out during a submission. The fighter kept on twisting his arm and pinning him down even more. What a crazy man. During this match, he also nearly took the eye of the opponent by repeatedly pushing into his eye sockets over and over. Why would you do this? Even after the fight, he started to play innocent and even took to Facebook to defend himself. In the entire post, he didn't apologize and only made many excuses. After the match, he was stripped of his title and then dropped from his promotion, as a well-deserved exit from the UFC after all that cheating. And our final rule breaker is Vyacheslav Dotsic. Everyone in the UFC fandom should have heard the name Dotsic at least once. He's done some pretty terrible things outside of the octagon, but that's not the focus of today's video. All you should know is that this guy doesn't mess around and is a terrible man. In terms of fighting, the dude is insane. His technique consists of running headbutts and just rushing down his opponent, and it really worked well for him. He even dances during his matches to put off his opponent. Datsik was also known for not listening to the referee and even fighting them on odd occasions. He would also constantly target his opponent's groin instead of attacking them. Though it wasn't in every one of his fights, he constantly broke the rules and attacked everyone in sight. He even famously fought 2 guys at once during his career. This guy was just a complete maniac and easily the biggest rule breaker in fighting history. Let us know down below what you think about this guy. And now, on to more fighting news just to end off the video. And now we have UFC legend Khabib offers Jake Paul a fight on his MMA show as he tells YouTubers EFC's door always open to you. For many months now, Jake Paul has been trying to get himself into a UFC bout with literally anyone. He's known for fighting anybody, especially those who aren't as skilled as him. No matter what you think of Jake Paul, he clearly makes everyone lots of money with his fighting skills and his marketing ideas. He really is a money maker, and the UFC would be stupid to not take him on. Though Dana White and Jake Paul are beefing right now, there are plenty of other UFC promotions that would take the fighter on, and clearly one is opening its doors for the boxer. Khabib Nurmagomedov recently offered Jake Paul the golden opportunity to fight in his own mixed martial arts promotion. Paul has recently been training in the arts of UFC as he is trying to transition from boxing, as it's the best option for someone like him. He really wants to fight in the UFC, even if he and Dana White aren't on the best terms. This opportunity from Khabib should make this really possible for Paul. He made some comments on the matters just a few days ago. "When I made my MMA debut, I could cut 20 pounds and do it at welterweight, 170 pounds. That's what all UFC fighters do and have destroyed their bodies and minds doing it. But I'm gonna do it at middleweight 185. Health first. P.S. Conor McGregor walking around at 190 pounds. What do you think about what's going on? Let us know down in the comment section below. Jake Paul is constantly making news in the UFC and boxing worlds, so it isn't going to be long before we see him in the octagon. Hopefully he gets a good fight, as everyone wants to see Jake Paul beat. And finally we have UFC Dana White refuses to hand Francis Ngannou the heavyweight title after UFC 270 win, and then refuses to attend the press conference. With the win coming from Ngannou this past week, it seems like Dana White was just not interested in the conclusion of that match. The match ended with a unanimous decision, and White just wasn't happy. He's usually the one to present the fighter with their belt at the end of a championship bout in the UFC. But this fight must have just been different for him. He was there earlier in the night to give Figueiredo his belt, but not Ngannou. White hasn't made a comment on the matter, but Ngannou said a lot after the match. Things have been difficult between the two due to Ngannou wanting to be paid more, and rightfully so. I don't know why that happened. You have to ask him, Ngannou said at the post-fight press conference. "I did not have anything to do about that. I think that was their decision. I'm about to ask about that too." As well as not presenting the belt, White also skipped the post-fight press conference. Clearly he didn't want anything to do with Ngannou, which is pretty petty. They have their own problems with one another, but that shouldn't be a reason to skip out on those two important moments. It's not a good look for the leader of the UFC. His company is already not doing great, so not showing up for these isn't the best thing to do. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching today's video. Bye.